Hello and welcome to BB Uncovered. My name is Tosin Adefeko and I'm the CEO of 83 Resources, the movement agency. Once again, I'll be your host for today. With me today is yet another seasoned marketing professional. I would call him a legend in his own way. And with us today is the Chief Creative Officer of Noah's Ark, and he's also the founder, Mr. Lanre Adisa. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Adisa.
Thanks for having me.
I hope you don't mind if I call you Larry to
Please
make
call
the
me. People
conversation.
call me Ellie actually in the
LA, I love it.
So,
Fantastic.
so feel free.
LA,
Yes.
everyone that has been here on the couch with us at the Movement Studio has a BB story. What is yours? What's your BB story?
I think first thing for me, my story is in two parts. My first engagement with the group was as a trainee copywriter, and BB was the chairman. And I remember very well, we used to have what we call the happy hour every Friday.
Yeah.
So you had suya, you had beer going around.
Okay.
And so it was that person you saw from afar, but you couldn't. I mean, it was just a
Mhm.
trainee,
Mm.
And I thought that was the end of it. So I left the group in 1994. And sometime in 1997, he sent someone to me, the later Victor Johnson. Amavi J, like we used to call him back then. That I should see him. I was like, this is the man I mean, of course, I
Like you
respected
revere.
him and all of that. He had an office, a corner office in
Yes.
MCNA, and only the chairman sat there and all that. So whatever it was, I had to just go see him. It happened at a time when I was considering moving to Insight because Insight was also going through some kind of transition.
Okay.
Before then, we used to look at Insight like these old guys and MCNA guys were the new kids on the block. So I went to see him and we spoke for 45 minutes. And he said, Larry, I don't do recruitment.
Okay.
But we want you to come to
Yeah.
to Insight. And after our conversation, he said I should go and see Bale. But I said, Larry, I don't do recruitment, but it was hard to
So
have
he
conversation.
basically just
He just
loved
spoke-
what you, okay.
Yeah, so we just spoke like a
Yes.
mentor to a mentee, kind of
Mm.
spoke about the industry, and that was it. Now, the interesting thing about that conversation is he didn't care about the details. So I went to see Bale, and Bale said, "Oh, we're going to employ you," and they gave me a letter that actually demoted me.
Really? Demoted you within MCNA?
Because when I was at
or-
MCNA, I was a copy group head
Got you.
in 1994.
Mhm.
So I'm back in Inside 1997, and I got a letter saying senior copywriter. I was like, what is this? I said, no, that's what. Okay, we'll just take the senior out of it, call me a copywriter, because that's what I do.
Mhm.
I said, no. And that's how I started. Of course, I got more money than where I was coming
Yeah.
from. But the good thing about that, if you don't mind me going
Of
there,
course, go ahead.
is that and that is a hallmark of BB. I don't call him like that to his face.
None of us do. But we needed to shorten this program.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is he has run a merit-based organization over the years. Because I'll tell you what, so I got in there in 1997 as a senior copywriter. I tried taking exception to it, but I took it as a challenge, and by 1999, I was made a deputy creative director in charge of the department. I mean, it never happened like that any other place. So, so it was a good thing on my part that I took it with some kind of humility,
Yes.
and the system allowed me to be myself and do some great stuff in the process. So, yeah.
Fantastic. So I love that, at least within the context of work, you experienced him firsthand. So tell us, share some stories. What is it like really working with BB?
My experience, especially my second coming, I mean, going to Insight now,
Yes.
is that he doesn't get in the way, but
I
you
love
can't help
that.
but feel him.
Okay.
When it's important, when it's
Yeah.
necessary, he sends you,
A message.
his post-it notes. It's yellow
Okay.
post-it notes, with a message.
Mhm.
Is a great communicator. So you get a sense of whether you've done something. I mean, especially for guys in account service,
Yes.
as opposed to people in creative. When it comes to reviews, for instance, he is the type of person who can say, I put my money on this. I think this is the way to go. It doesn't come with all the marketing jargon and what have you. And all that. He's a
Gotcha.
very pragmatic person.
Yeah.
He knows exactly what works and why they work. What I love most is the fact that he will go to the end of the world if he believes in something. It's the way to do it. And I can share one story.
Yes.
Sometime I think in 98 or thereabout, we were working on Peak Milk then. And the client was not happy with the team for some reason. And I didn't even know anything about this. He just called one day and assembled a couple of us and said, of course, he must have done his own background check and whatever and all that to say, hey, these are. So what I'm trying to just say is that he knew there was a very unhappy client somewhere and he needed to find a solution. So it took a couple of us, media, creative, business, account management, and what have you, and took us, and we all went to WAMCO back then, I used to call it, now Friesland Campina, and told the client, that's your new team.
Just like that.
And what he told us was that, hey guys, you've got to make this, happen, because this guy is not happy. You've got to make him happy.
So he disbanded the
previous team and set up a new team and gave us that charge of, you guys have got to rescue this and make it happen. And yes, we did. And that was what led to one of the best commercials ever, generation to generation.
Wow. Amazing. That's an amazing story. So, I mean, still talking about his character and his personality, what do you admire most?
I admire the fact that he's a very focused person. He has a style about him. He's a very organized person. You can see that in the way he's dressed and whatever and all that. It's very disciplined in terms of timing, in terms of, you can't fault that. But I recall back then in MCNA, at some point, he will come very early in the morning. And he was actually picking guys, even bosses coming late.
Oh my God.
He was that kind of person. Yeah. But there's a fun side to him as well. There's almost like an avuncular kind of character, like somebody you could, and he's very open. He could walk up to you and all that. The story I left out. So when he sees me, he calls me chairman.
Okay.
And there's a reason why he calls me chairman. So I have 4 boys.
Okay.
So while I was in Insight, I had my 3rd boy, and so I wrote, the intranet. I wrote an internal memo thing saying, by the way, the board of Lanre, Adisa and Sons, we just had a new member today, and And from then on, he's always asking, chairman,
the chairman of the board?
Yeah, how the board members?
Yes.
That's how he greets me.
That's funny.
So he's got this fun side to him.
Yes.
He can be very strict, can be very, hard on you, but can also be very lenient, very caring and all that. And when he believes in people, he doesn't really hide it. Yes. He goes out of the way to let you know that. There's a part of that he doesn't even know, my experience at Insight, and I always attribute that to some of the things that actually got me to whatever I'm doing now. He had this store where he was keeping all his old editions of Advertising Age, Campaign Magazine, and all that. When it was break time, and for some reason I'll just go there and just keep going through and reading. So at a time when there was no internet, there was no social media, there was nothing. It was a way of keeping
knowledge back.
Yeah, knowing what was going on and all that, so you could knowledgeable about what was, because he actually invested his money in all those things. Of course, subscription for the agency. So he had a backlog of all those magazines. I was always, in tune with what was going on.
Fantastic.
At that point in time. Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. Let's move a bit to the industry now.
Yeah.
What would you say is, in terms of the advertising industry and BB's work, what is the impact of his work to the industry?
I think
I ask everyone that. It seems pretty obvious, but just from your own perspective.
Yeah. So I think for me, what he has demonstrated like no other person in the industry is the boldness to see far, see into the future, and act on it.
Okay.
So the specializations that we see today, a whole lot of that you can attribute to his vision. I told you I started at MCNA, and at that time also, that was the year that the Quadrant company was also founded. So he was that, courageous to go all out and do things differently. And he always had a view. He has a world view that you could say is what standard. And say, look, this is what I believe in, and I'll go out for it. So the second line agency thing, I think he was the first to even start that. I remember very well. Then the Quadrant company came on board. In fact, at a point in time, there was a a content business as well, and ABC. I can't remember exactly what
Okay.
it was called. There was a health agency as well, Grey
Really?
Health.
Okay.
So he was never afraid to try his hands. As a matter of fact, there was what's it called, something studio with Alesh Lawyer running it,
Okay.
Clink Studio or something.
Oh,
I can't remember
didn't
the
even
studio,
know
the name of the
that.
studio. And at the point they were actually publishing magazines, cartoon magazines
I
and stuff
see.
like that. So he never got tired of experimenting and trying things out. And if it didn't work, he was quick to say, hey, pack it
Let's
up,
do it again.
do something
Yeah.
else and all that. So it's something that he has done well, and it has been so instrumental in inspiring the industry to specialize and have all the things that we have, the media independent agencies coming on board and a whole lot of stuff.
Yeah.
A whole lot of that, I think he's been a big, big inspiration to the industry.
Great stuff. Okay, tell us a bit about challenges. Let's have, a conversation on what do you think? How did he handle challenges and setbacks? Do you have any stories that would
Well,
sort
some
of
of the stories are very apparent.
Okay.
As in, if you know the backstory um, of the Halogen company, for instance,
Okay.
the challenge he had with the gun
The gun battle,
battle,
yes.
and rather than just see that as some traumatic experience and move on, he saw it as an inspiration to do something different. Look, there is an industry here that needs the kind of rigor that we go through in marketing communications, that we can actually turn it around. So he saw the opportunity in this so-called trauma, and he was able to change the game, as it were. So today, Halogen Company is, of course, seen as perhaps the
Also a first in
yeah,
the security space.
so that was, again, it's back to that
Mm.
idea of him always seeing opportunities and trying to go for it. There was a challenge also, and some other people would have been deterred at some point. I mean, if you know the story of Optimum Exposures, it was clean sight in
No,
those
the
days.
outdoor, yes.
And
Okay.
so they had this not so good experience of losing MDs. I think they had like 2 MDs that died, about that time. And he never gave up on the company until he found, somebody came
Stability.
and whatever, people would have attributed it to all sorts of things in Nigeria and all that.
Superstitions.
And of course the company got turned around. They changed the name to Optimum and they did big stuff and all that. So you give it to him. He is a very courageous person, never gives up on his dream. And and those challenges, I mean, I could see, he found a way
To reinvent.
I'll tell you, when we, perhaps one of my last major, pitches at Insight then, Nigerian Breeze back then. Nigerian Breeze was something that he had been nursing for quite a long time, right from almost the beginning of Insight.
Yeah.
He had always wanted to get into Nigerian Breeze. And finally, we had an opportunity, I think in 99 to 2000, about the time we just moved into GRA. And the kind of the zeal he was leading from the front that he put into that was unbelievable. We did a whole lot of stuff. We even got a team from Grey London to join the team in Nigeria. So it goes all out, in the professional sense, to ensure that look, whatever that we're trying to achieve, we do everything to ensure that it works to our advantage. And I remember that experience, and of course, the rest is history. We won that business in 2000,
And kept
and
it for
they're still
fantastic. Okay, let's move into the legacy, BB's legacy.
Mm.
And honestly, having these conversations with quite a number of you that you all passed through him, you're all giants in your own in your own special way as well. Well known, formidable. You build formidable institutions. So if you ask me, I would say, wow, the people would be a legacy. But
sure.
in your own, what would you say is BB's ultimate legacy?
Yeah, of course, the people are the legacy, but I think also his ideas that if we dare, we can make a difference. He never settles for half measures, and I think that's why he's been able to build all the things that we see around us. But of course, the people, you can count a whole lot of people who have gone through the Troika group, as it were, and people who also took that inspiration from him to say, we're going to build something, worth talking about. Me starting Noah's Ark, it wasn't like a long-haired dream or vision on my part. It's not one day I'm going to start an agency. No, it was a list of my problems. But I think at a point in time, I was asking myself, his generation did all the things that we can point to. So what will my generation point to? So he was, in an indirect sense, it was an inspiration for doing that. And I told myself, if I was going to do it, my experience of MCNA, was just a different thing entirely. It didn't act like it was operating from Nigeria. It was a such and such agency, and it behaved like one, like anywhere else in the world. And I told myself that the experience I had there, I'll have to recreate that and top it if I'm going to start something. So that came from the vision of BB and all that he did with that. Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, we're slowly winding down. Before I ask you to, turn to the camera and wish him a happy birthday, can you describe BB in 3 words?
In 3 words.
Yes.
Okay. I would say visionary.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking for the right word. Visionary.
Yeah.
Pragmatic.
Okay.
Fun loving.
I love it. This has been the most interesting conversation. I'm sure you agree with me. Mr. Lanre Adisa, you did want me to call you Ellie. I will remember that.
That is okay.
Please wish Dr. Show a happy birthday. He'll want to hear from you. Send him a message.
Okay. From one chairman to another. This is wishing you a very, very memorable 80th birthday. You deserve it. You've done so well, and you deserve to celebrate. I join your family and friends today to wish you the very best. You've been an inspiration. I pray that you continue to be one to all of us. Happy birthday.
Thank you so much, Ellie, and thank you for listening. Do join us again. We will not disappoint you with our